Hello everyone, Jilles Groskamp here from Team Infinity, and today in this video I want to talk about the Infinity i15, the 110 Nitro touring car. And as might you follow the news this week, we finally released the new lower shock tower, the front one, the rear one, and the shorter shocks. And this part the team has been using for the last few months. We made a lot of tests with this, and we found that this is really on most tracks really a big improvement. So I would like to show you a bit what is different and how I feel about it, when it's better, when it works better. So come and have a look. So first of all, the front. We choose to use the aluminium shape lower shock tower. The reason for this was that it has a special shape that the shock will sit more towards the shock tower, and it has a special shape, and this was more difficult to make it in a carbon, so they made it in aluminium, but it's very thin, so the flex remain the same. And the shock itself, it's pretty much basically the same type of piston and shock shaft with the screw, the same that we use in the i14. And the advantage for this is that you have more volume in the shock. Of course, the shock body is much shorter. I believe it's about 3 or 4 millimeters shorter, so you have a little bit less volume for the oil. But because you use a screw now, you get a little bit back, so in general you don't lose too much of the volume. So what I said, it's a shorter shock combined with a lower shock tower, and it's massively 6.5 millimeter lower than the old shock tower. Basically what it does is you feel directly you have more reaction in the car on your steering. But for me, it definitely works better when there's medium or especially high traction, because the car has less roll and the car stays more flat on the track. So I can pretty much say that the lower shock tower and the short shocks, you mainly get advantage on the medium or high traction tracks. For the rear, this is the rear shock tower. And we choose now also to use a 3-hole instead of more 6-hole to make it more strong and rigid. And especially those 3-hole is normally the only 3 that you use. So this is also 3 or 4 millimeter lower. Again, in the rear, I feel this also works really well on their medium or high traction track. I still prefer the long shocks when it's low traction or it's a bumpy track. But of course, when you have the kit, you anyway have the long shocks. But especially on high traction, you will feel the car, it has less roll. Actually, it have more rotation in the corner. And of course, the center of gravity is so much lower now that it will really benefit on the high traction tracks. Now, of course, this is also mainly designed for the upcoming months. We're gonna have the World Championship in Bangkok, and in the track RC Addict. Will be really high traction for sure. So for sure, definitely the lower shock tower will help a lot, combined with the shorter shocks. You can use the same springs because just the spring collar you have to raise a lot more than the old shocks. But yeah, again, you can remain the same shock spring front and rear, just use the shorter in the front and the long ones in the rear. Other than that, again, I can only say that this is really a great, just a great option parts, and I don't think you will regret it. So I hope you like my video again, and see you next time.